morning and welcome to Speed Racing Network night number 2 here in Chicago. We're going to have some truck series drivers getting out there qualifying here in just a second. Looking like that's beginning here. 31 drivers taking to the field. I'm Greg Olenek, joined by Brandon Domain as always here on Wednesday nights. Brandon, welcome. Expecting a good race here tonight after a great one last week, where Trevor Williams comes away with a kind of a heroic win that gets him into this round of 10 that we're kicking off here tonight.
Yeah, it has been the story of the walk-off winners when it comes to those cutoff races, and even more to look forward to tonight because these D-shaped ovals, like we saw last week and like we saw at Kansas 4 weeks ago in the regular season finale, they just work so well with the trucks here. They always put on a good show. I'm expecting a great one tonight as we start this second round.
Yeah, so like I said, we're going to be starting that second round here in Chicago. We had a great one last night, and we're going to have another good one here tonight. There you see the final 10 drivers making their way in here into this next round, consisting of Chicago, Nashville, and Kentucky. Ryan Johnson with the 2 wins next to him, his name. He just had an absolutely crazy margin over that cut line, but even a playing field now in this second round.
Yeah, that is it's got to be a great feeling if you're Ryan Johnson with how much you dominated that first round, and then you turn right around after those 3 races where you had a first, and a second. You were 76 points up on second, and all of a sudden it's back down to tied, all the way down to 10th, and you got to do it all over again. So that's a rough feeling, but there's a couple of guys that are feeling great right now, one of them being Trevor Williams, who we talked about had that walk-off win. He made it by a single point. And then how about the lucky dog? Sean Jensick worked his way in there as a top non-playoff driver. That's a full-time regular that was in that race in Texas, got that lucky dog, got the second life, and he's still here in the second round as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned Texas. He also said in that post-race interview that they didn't want him in the playoffs, but now he's there, and he's making the most of it. Now there you see, like you said, contending for this round of 5. But he's got a lot of contenders to go against here, some big-time contenders with Johnson, Doyle, Herman there, Jonathan Byer, Landon Cardulo, Michael Madden, Jensick, like we said, Andrew Harris making it through, and Bobby Anderson and Trevor Williams. So Ben Park, Blair Holloman, Jose Castellanos, Kyle Lingerfeld, AJ Pritchett, and Nick Halda are going to move over into the Tier 2 championship. So that field has grown quite a bit since we have such a big field here in the Truck Series. Usually Jacob Zala leading the way here with 4 races to go. Nathan Nixon just 2 points behind. And Raul Meza has been running very good here lately, just 3 points back of this Tier 2 championship.
It's pretty impressive that the top 3, when we've had a field of 16 playoff drivers, the top 3, all of them, their drop week, so their worst finish in that first round was better than 18th place. They have been absolutely killing it since they started this Tier 2 championship version of the playoffs. Zala, Nixon, and Meza, they've done a tremendous job. And even kind of stranger, you have to go all the way down to that tie for 4th before you see any of those playoff drivers that got eliminated in round number 1. So it's one of those deals where Ben Park, Blair Holloman, they still got work to do, even though they were one of those 6 drivers that's going to be added into this Tier 2 championship.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have very good finishes last week with Ben Park coming home in P number 14, and Blair Holloman also not having a great night, coming home 18th. A lot of these guys that were in the playoffs just didn't have a great race last weekend, so looking to turn that around here, and a few more drivers to go through in this Tier 2 championship, because I told you, it's grown quite a bit. You got Connor Cunningham back here, who's been running real well. Nick Halda, who's kind of missed out on a few weeks with vacation. I can understand that. And Rob Yost, our hard charger winner so far, and 19th. A lot of big names back here.
A lot of big names and a lot of guys that are able to put in some really good runs. And, I mean, you look at it, we still got 4 races left here before we crown that Tier 2 champion. And at this point, all of them except for Zach Bergeson is still eligible to jump up to that top spot mathematically at the end of this race alone. So it's still a tight race, still a lot of shifting that we can see in the second half of this thing.
So let's go ahead and move on now. Check out that Truck Series Team Championship. A full field here of 8 teams that it's being narrowed down to 4. So what do you say we go ahead check that first matchup out between the 1 and the 8 seed of JW Racing and Tank Racing, and quite a healthy margin of victory here for JW after a very, very solid first round, a pretty much perfect race last race, coming home first, second, and third.
Well, we'll put it this way. Their margin of victory would have beaten, I believe, 3 teams here in this playoff alone. Like, that was absolutely incredible what JW Racing did, and it showed at the very end of it last week, getting max points, sitting there with that first, second, and third, really putting it together at the end when they obviously didn't have to as a team, but all individual drivers making it there at the end. So a lot for them to race for, a lot of depth on the individual side of the playoffs, and that might make them even more dangerous as this team championship playoff continues.
Yeah, so there you see it. They're going to advance to take on the 5 seed. So JBR advancing. We'll get to that last matchup in just a second. But Dark Tank here going up against Bar. The 2-7 matchup pretty close, just 25 points. So kind of a flip side here. And you would think differently between the 2 versus 7. But this was a very highly contested match with Lucas Lyons being the only driver on either team last week to finish in the top 10.
Yeah, and he did a great job, and you also had Bobby Anderson being one of the individual playoff drivers, and I think that really kind of helped Bobby Anderson race and keep this thing close because they had a lot to drive for. Lucas Lyons, one of those drivers that I don't think there's ever going to be a race where he doesn't feel like I'm going for the win, so he's always going to be out there really pushing hard. Dark Tank, though, they were just consistent. They didn't really wow you with any individual performance over the course of the playoff, but they were just always there around that 12th to 16 kind of range with a couple of finishers, as you see there with both Park brothers there, 13th and 14th. So they did a really good job about not really hurting themselves, and that was enough to carry them through.
Well, they're going to have to find a little more this round because they're going to have a tough matchup going up against that 3 seed. Here you see Zuyos going up against Stryker. This one came down to 8 points in the end after 3 races. Kind of incredible when you see it come down to these margins. I mean, in the Xfinity Series last year, you had Tank and JW tying at the end of the season, but 8 points after 3 races is very impressive by Stryker. Unfortunately, missing out there. So Zuyos going to take on the 2 seed of Dark Tank Racing.
And Stryker down to just the 3 drivers in the series, but they consistently showed up. They consistently ran well, and 247 points is good enough to win. In that last matchup that we saw, it would have beaten a handful of the teams in the playoff, just wasn't enough in the matchup that they had. Zuyos really put together a quality run. Obviously, they're led point-wise by Brad Herman, who continues to look very strong, but you had Yost, you had Holloman, all good finishes there. They didn't really damage themselves too much in any run, and it was just enough.
Well, notice the trend here as we're narrowing the seeds in this team championship playoff. We're narrowing the margin of victory as well. So in the 4-5 matchup, it came down to 5 points between Rat Pack Racing and JBR, but kind of an upset here. The 5 seed going to take out the 4 of Rat Pack Racing. So JBR going to move on to take on JW. And I mean, JBR was the second highest scoring team in that last round, so it's going to be very interesting. Both these teams running really well here so far.
I mean, you look at 295 and 290. I think if you don't have JW Racing putting up 340, those would have been 2 of the highest scores we've seen in any round going back this season in all 3 leagues or last season in all 3 leagues. These numbers astronomical. They both knocked it out of the park. Shame one of them had to go home. Rat Pack put in a heck of an effort, but just came up those 5 points short.
Yeah, and it's just missed out on a few points. All 3 of their drivers having great runs last week. So JBR going to go on to take on that 1 seed. So we got 30 seconds before we get out there and get this thing started. So quickly, let's go ahead and check out the sponsors here on Speed Racing Network. Silverback Tax Solutions coming on board this season to sponsor the Green Flag. As always, go ahead and check them out at silverbacktax.com. If you have any issues with the IRS, Sparkle and Shine Mobile Detailing, they'll get their car looking really good for you here this summer. And when you go on vacation and maybe park it in the car show, looking good, right, Brandon? And Buck Kicker coming on board to sponsor the Hard Charger. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to check out those standings, but I can tell you for a fact that Rob Yost Jr. still leading those standings. And TJ's Team Foundation over at morethanacape.org sponsoring our winning moment of each race. So please go ahead, check out the sponsors. We can't thank them enough for coming on board here this season for Season 3. So let's go ahead, head out there on the track here at Chicagoland Speedway. Everybody's starting to grid up on pit road. Starting off the round of 10, Brandon.
Absolutely. The pressure on. Everybody saw that huge gap. It is now erased, and we're going to knock out 5 more drivers after 3 races, all on D-shaped ovals, but all very different in their own right.
Yeah, so not too bad. A track temperature out there tonight, kicking it off with 100 degrees. So these trucks are feeling pretty good out there. I think we're going to see some really good action once they get it kicked off here tonight. So let's go ahead, check out that lineup. And there's Andrew Harris out of Stryker Motorsports. He's in this round of 10. He's starting on the front row next to the hot hand of Ryan Johnson in a second. Just 5 thousandths of a second off the pole. And then just 9 thousandths of a second off the pole is going to be that third place driver there of Jonathan Byer. Lane Doyle in the outside of row number 2.
You talk about how close everything was. The top 16 drivers all within a tenth of a second of each other, including in row number 4, our first 2 non-playoff drivers, Connor Cunningham and Dean Gagliano, will be in 7th and 8th. Jacob Zala will be the 3rd non-playoff driver. The Tier 2 leader will be in position number 9. Trevor Williams, who made his way in by a point with that walk-off win last week, in 10th. In row number 6 will be Landon Cardulo, another one of our playoff drivers, and Jose Castellanos, one of the drivers that was in our playoffs in that first round.
So that's a look at your top 6 rows. Seeing Thane Kaiser out there cheering on Andrew Harris. I know he's got to be liking what he's seeing with Andrew Harris starting on the pole here tonight. So we're going to see these trucks starting to head on down, make their one lap around here. So, Brandon, I got to ask, who you got your eye on here this evening?
I promise I said this before qualifying, but you know what? Pole sitter at Kansas, finished 2nd at Kansas, a similar track. Finished 6th with 14 laps led at Las Vegas. These 1.5-mile D-shaped ovals work really well with the pole sitter, Andrew Harris. He's starting up front. He's going to have some clean air. I think he's going to be very, very strong tonight in that underdog Silverado.
Yeah, he's out there in the underdog scheme tonight. Very fitting, as he barely squeaked on through, but nonetheless made it. I'm not going too far away from you here, Brandon. Like you said, we talked about it before the race and even before qualifying, and it's funny that these two were so close to each other. Just 9 thousandths off the pole. I'm going to take Jonathan Byer here tonight. He's been getting better and better, I feel like, as the season has progressed, and it actually, ramps up more intensity-wise. I think he kind of looks better when it's on the line like that. So I'm going with Jonathan Byer to kick it off here in round 10 action.
Hey, best 3-race streak all season long. The last 3 races in that round of 16 at 66 looking really good right now when it matters most.
Yeah, so the pace car going to go ahead down pit road, and we're about to get 95 laps of green flag action underway as the Silverback Tax Solutions green flag is waving here in Chicago. Roar on by through you in turn 1. Andrew Harris holding on to the lead as Jonathan Byer takes 2nd. He's quickly going to take a look to the inside and try and make a race for this thing and lead this first lap. And that 66 going to go right on by. Slide job here in Chicago.
A slide job and a bit of a crossover as well. Andrew Harris trying to take that lead back, and does. He leads the first lap of the race, picking up that all-important bonus point along with the bonus points for the pole. He's still in position to try to max out points tonight and really trying to get it here. And one thing that you'll notice early on, if you didn't tune in last night, Chicagoland, the curved back straightaway, something you never really see out there. It does set up some good runs on the inside, really kind of levels out the racing inside and outside.
Wow, look at the run Beyer gets loose off of 4, though, and that's going to make the 48 get a big run to the inside. He's going to go on by and take the lead here on lap 2. The action here early on, feeling like it's the end of the race, as Sean Jensic now behind them, making it 3 wide to the inside.
Man, these guys know that this is the first of 3 races in the round, and everybody's loving one in the wall as Beyer tried to slide up there. It wasn't quite clear, and it's Lane Doyle that caught the wall.
Yeah, so luckily I don't think that's too bad a damage, but man, the action here early on might be settling down after all that, as Ryan Johnson claims the lead from Andrew Harris. Harris quickly on the bumper of that 48.
And Lane Doyle does have some right side damage, but he's lucky it wasn't worse, because this is one of the tracks where the safer barrier tucks away and then comes back at the entrance of turn 3. A little bit later, he might have caught that entry, and it would have popped him right back down to the racetrack, and it would have been a big wreck.
Yeah, so the 47 going to be probably looking to get some of that damage that you see right there. Yeah, pretty good lick there to the right side of that 47. So he's looking to get that fixed maybe under yellow flag conditions. That's if we have a yellow flag here this evening. So we'll keep an eye on the progress of Lane Doyle after starting in row number 2 here tonight. So let's go ahead, look through some field here in Landon Cardullo to the inside of Jose Castellanos. Landon starting back here in 11th tonight, looking to pick up some spots here to the inside.
Yeah, and Landon's still sitting there in the 10th position right now as he's with that side-by-side race, and that's 7th in the running order of the playoff drivers. Still very early, but you're looking at that top 6 right now, all with their numbers in green, indicating they're still up for the playoffs. Ooh, tight racing there between him and Blair Holloman. I think Landon kind of backed out of that one, gave up that spot, lived to fight another day on that. But yeah, I mean, you're seeing those top 6 right now, all green numbers, all playoff drivers. And if you're looking at that and you're sitting in that 12th position, you're thinking, all right, I can't let them get too far away from me if this thing stays green.
So Ryan Johnson's still out in front of this thing. Him and Andrew Harris starting to separate themselves from the 66 back there, who's got a hungry Sean Jensic battling to the inside of Bobby Anderson. So both of those drivers picking up a spot since they started this race. So some comers, some goers. Brad Herman up 4 positions back there in 13th, along with Bo Tiffany, who's just 2 behind him, also up 4. So a few of these guys that started further on back in the pack starting to make their way up through the field.
And it's important. I mean, I know it's only lap 8 of 95, but we have seen that once the field kind of shrinks a little bit, and this is still a strong field of 31, but a little bit less than what we're normally seeing on a track that has this many options for lanes. Sometimes you don't see that many cautions. Sometimes you don't see any cautions, and so you got to be. Oh, speaking of, there's the jinx.
Purnell hard into the wall, and that's the safer barrier. It snuck out and grabbed him that you just talked about. I think that's what exactly we're going to see here when we check it out here on the Sparkle and Shine Mobile Detailing Rec Replay.
Yeah, that is the one big concern that I think people kind of sleep on, and it's at the exit of 2 that safer barrier goes away, and yeah, he caught that perfectly, and it just kicked him right down to the racetrack, and there's nothing anybody can do behind you at that point. He kind of picked up about 4 cars or 4 trucks or so just because of that kick out there. It just sent him right back down the racetrack.
Yeah, so you're going to see it just sneak out and grab him right here, and boom, he's in the wall and can't get off of it. And there it is. Shoots him back down the track right in front of the 32 of Troy Techmeyer and sends him spinning, and then he just goes spinning like a top here once a few guys take him out.
And that's a shame for Techmeyer. Hopefully not a ton of damage there. Wow, that's a hard hit there for Purnell. Got into his teammate in the 35, James Kerr, as well. Believe that was Jason Kratke picking up some damage also. But a shame for Techmeyer because he was one of the faster trucks in practice. He was 6 positions up at this point already in 8 laps. Really doing a great job out there. Fast truck, just nowhere for him to go.
So there you see all the damage on board that 36 of Austin Purnell, and You can't just quit. You got to get that thing fixed up. Your team is in the battle and in a tight battle now with JW Racing for this team championship. So they're going to be looking to get that 36 fixed up and back out there on the track. So everybody except one driver opting to come down pit road this time, and that's going to be Daniel Park, who started this thing in 29th tonight. And I think he's a sitting duck out here after everybody pits.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit rough because this track is sneaky in how much it grates at the tires. The other thing, too, is this was going to be a two-stop race unless there is a ton of cautions out there. Not going to be able to stretch it out far enough to really make that a one-stopper. At this point, 85 laps left to go. They might be able to conserve a little bit if this thing stays green the rest of the way to only need one stop. So I think Park kind of sitting there in a bad spot in multiple places. Does pick up a bonus point, though, and he is one of the contenders for the Tier 2 title. So maybe just thinking about bonus points there, get that truck out in front, get a little bit of airtime as well, but a little bit aggressive, and maybe not anything he thought was going to be aggressive, but then as you're looking at it, nobody follows you in, and that's a lonely feeling.
Well, with 2 laps to go before we go back to green flag racing, we're going to step aside real quick, run our first commercial break of the night, and come right back with that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag. Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbactax.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
We're getting ready to go back to green flag action out here tonight, Brandon. There's the backstretch that you were talking about, and there you can see it, the bow in that can kind of throw drivers off here, and I think that's exactly what happened that brought out that first caution of the night.
Yeah, it's just so different from what you're used to seeing, and it kind of changes your viewpoint on the exit of 2, on the entry of 3, just really makes it difficult for these drivers. And speaking of drivers, we got Johnson Harris on the front row. Dan Park decided to come in pit road before they took one to go.
So we're going to see that pace car dart on down pit road as well, and that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag is back waving here in Chicago. Ryan Johnson gets a great jump here and puts Sean Jensick and Andrew Harris side by side.
Now, my question on this restart is, are they going to be as aggressive as they were at the very start of this race? And looking at it right away, doesn't appear so. They're all stretching out single file all the way back. They're about the top 15.
Yeah, that was kind of a wild start to a race. I don't know if we've ever seen a race start even like that, even at a super speedway, but right back to side-by-side action here for second. Andrew Harris not wanting to give up too much track position here. You can really get swallowed up here in all of this battle. As you see in the top 10, you got Jacob Zala back there racing to the inside of Sean Kosher, I believe. And then Bobby Anderson, Jonathan Byer also side-by-side. So there is side-by-side action. Actually, that was the 63 of Connor Cunningham. Both of them have similar colored trucks here this evening.
That does tend to happen every now and then, but a strong run here early on for Connor Cunningham as we look back at Sean Kozier running behind Walt Lipicki. That 64 and the 63 really do look alike normally, but that 97 also a bit of a similar color as well, so definitely see that there. But
had to prove myself there.
Yeah, I totally got you on that one. But no, Cunningham to the outside, working his way around Jose Castellanos, or maybe holding him off, I should say. Now close under that tailgate of Jacob Zala for some close racing. Close racing for the lead as well. Andrew Harris back out to the front if he can hold on.
Yeah, he's going to have a hard-charging 48 to the outside, though, as you see him go way low there on the apron. As you see a lot of guys opt to take that line, kind of shortens the track a little bit. But the 48, with all that speed, running that second lane, is still going to be able to contend to the outside of the 87. We got a drag race down the backstretch.
And still really good side-by-side racing. You don't get that a whole lot. We saw it a lot last night where the inside line really can hold some speed. If you get pinched down, you could still get some good speed down that back straightaway, but that outside line real strong on these fresh tires as Ryan Johnson pulls away. And there's that apron that you talked about. And one thing about this track, that apron, fair game for sure, but it's one of the slickest and flattest aprons you're going to see out there, and that's going to be something that might jump up and bite somebody here in this race, especially as those tires wear out. That thing gets real slick.
Oh, yeah. You really start to second-guess yourself, and you maybe start to go up a little bit on that surface, so you're exactly right. We'll see that. I think we're going to see some green flag stops here, as we saw only a few cautions last night in the Cup Series race, and I think these truckers are going to be able to get these things around here. Pretty much a comfortable track for this type of race car. And, I mean, these guys are full throttle for the most part around this whole circuit until that tire wear starts to set in. So it's a pretty fun race for these guys here tonight, but it can't be too fun for some of these guys. They're white-knuckling it out there as you see a few guys in that red start to creep up in the top 10. That means a few other playoff drivers not having such a great night so far.
Not too sure what happened to Jose Castellanos. I just saw his name just go tumbling down that pylon on the left. Maybe caught the wall a little bit on exit of 4. But you mentioned kind of white-knuckling your way around here early in the run, and that's something that it feels good because you're passing people early, but this track really does wear out these tires. You might, in these trucks, get about 15, maybe 20 laps, and then you're just going to hit a wall, not literally, but the tire wall out there, where that grip just goes away and the handling goes completely opposite of what you're thinking.
Hey, man, be careful what you say here tonight. You've already jinxed a few things here. We saw it happen on that first caution. Tight battle here, though. You got Jacob Zala out in front of Cardulo with Dean Gagliano, who's been very impressive here lately in that 45. He's up here contending in the top 10 with a few of these heavyweights. Blair Holloman just behind him, and then Connor Cunningham. So all these guys starting to tighten up back here further on in this mid-pack. So this is where you kind of got to be careful, as you're going to have a lot of tight racing here.
Yeah, very tight racing. Saw Landon Cardulo take that thing 3 wide to the inside and made it stick pretty well, still early enough that I think there's some confidence in those tires to really pull that off. It's interesting to me right now seeing, even when they get single file, that you're seeing a couple different lines around this racetrack. Some guys really liking that all the way down bottom line in 1 and 2. Some are kind of drifting up to where the lefts are on that first seam. And then it's pretty similar in 3 and 4. There's some guys that really like that low line, some that are up towards the middle, a couple guys running up maybe a lane away from the wall. So we're seeing a big disparity about where people are really wanting to put those trucks right now.
So this is the battle for 17th between Bo Tiffany and Kyle Lingerfeld. Then you got Lane Doyle all the way back here in 19th. He spent some extra time, about 20 extra seconds on pit road. That pinned him back here. So he is the lowest running playoff driver back here in 19th. He's looking to keep picking up some spots as these two are duking it out right in front of him. So he is probably pretty nervous right now with all these trucks racing as hard as they are here early on.
Yeah, that's one of those things you kind of get very jumpy about who's in front of you, but at the same time, he's looking at it. Bo Tiffany, Kyle Lingerfeld, they've been two pretty solid drivers all season long. Normally don't put their vehicles in that bad of a spot, so I think that there's a little bit of comfort there in that one. But as we've seen, this track can kind of jump out and bite you at times. So now you're seeing 3 wide, and that's really not what Doyle wants to be seeing right now.
And all this great racing is kind of commended by the admins here, bringing on this team championship as well as the Tier 2 championship, giving each and every one of these drivers out here some reason to really race hard here tonight. So not an easy pass, as you can see, by any means, by the 47 who started in 4th here tonight. So he's going to try and keep pushing Jose Castellanos on by the 65, but Lingerfeld not giving up by any means. So further on up front, Brad Herman getting on by Bobby Anderson there. That's for 5th position. So move Bobby Anderson back into P number 6. Brad Herman with a great run so far, up to 12 positions gained running in 5th.
Yeah, plus 12, that is the biggest mover thus far. Also plus 12, Nathan Nixon from 27th to 15th, but the hard charger tiebreak goes the highest in the running order, which that means Brad Herman right now out in that position. But that green pylon there on the left, that's going to be the big thing to look at all night, because you're seeing the top 7 drivers all in the playoffs right now in this round of 10, so not a whole lot of separation for those guys
got a
just
yellow
yet.
Flag. Sean Kozier, it looks like, involved in this incident. Heavy damage to the 97 Angel Wax machine out of Rat Pack Racing. So, wow, big time damage.
And to the left side, I'm going to assume maybe losing it and getting into the inside wall. Saw somebody slow on the apron. We were kind of keyed in on Brad Herman. Wasn't too sure if that was him or anybody else, but take a look at the Sparkle and Shine Mobile Detailing Rec replay. He's got him all the way up there on the high side.
That's the 40 of Bergeson there to the inside. Just gets into the bumper there. Sends him spinning across the start-finish line.
Yeah, that definitely looked like Kozier thought that he was either going to take the apron or at least that bottom line, and Bergeson did not do that. He was staying somewhat there in the middle. And just kind of one of those things that come at these D-shaped ovals. Sometimes people have different ideas on where they want to be running that line, and just kind of in the wrong spot. And also thinking maybe Bergeson saw that slow truck right there. It was right about at the start-finish line. Maybe he was thinking about taking that apron and then decided not to at the last second, maybe anticipating that slow truck. That was a bit of bad timing there.
Yeah, so Sean Kozier is going to have to get that truck fixed up back out there and see if he can contend here for the rest of the night. Plenty of time left in this one, but as you would expect, pit lane pretty busy. Each and every driver on the lead lap bringing it down pit road.
And this is a huge caution, because this does make it a one-stop race for these drivers now the rest of the way. It was going to be very, very close if they could make it. It didn't look like they were going to be able to do so. After that last pit stop, it was still going to be a bit of a reach, but this one should set it up for one more pit stop rest of the way if it stays green. Ryan Johnson out of pit road first. I believe that was Sean Jensick that's going to wind up in position 2 just in front of Andrew Harris.
Yeah, so that's your top 3 as you see each and every driver coming down pit road. Looks like Bobby Anderson here making a lengthy pit stop here in that 18 machine, so he's going to lose a lot of track position. But there you see Ryan Johnson coming out ahead of, I believe, you're right, Sean Jensick, I think we'll see go on by Andrew Harris here shortly, or maybe we got that wrong.
I thought maybe they were just sorting it out, but maybe the line just a little bit farther out and or closer, I should say, to pit road, and possibly Harris did edge him out there, and it just kind of looked like it was Jensick. So it does look like it's going to be Harris still holding on to that second spot. Top 6 all still playoff drivers.
Hey man, you better figure out where that line is by the time you get out there tomorrow. That's all I'm saying with your Xfinity Series race coming up here shortly. Catch that tomorrow night at the same time. We'll kick that off at 9:20 p.m. Eastern time. So there you see Meza out there leading these guys around. He's going to try and get one of his 10 laps back here, as he has unfortunately seen that good streak come to an end. He might not have the finish he had a few weeks ago. But if you like what you're seeing here tonight, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell so you know exactly when we go live. So let's take a look at those playoff drivers once again here on a playing level field in this, level playing field. I got words in my brain right now, Brandon. But Johnson dominated that first round. Doyle, Herman, Bayer, Cardulo rounded out that top 5. And Madden, Agentic, Harris, Bobby Anderson, Trevor Williams. These are all the drivers we were watching here tonight. Unfortunately, 6 drivers that went home. Ben Park, Blair Holloman, Castellanos, Kyle Lingerfeld, AJ Pritchett, and Nick Halda, who seems to still be on vacation. I see him out there in the chat. So welcome, Nick. And yeah, your JW guys looking good so far.
They certainly are, but it's a good day to be a playoff driver right now with 7 inside the top 9. One that was up there was Bobby Anderson. Not too sure what happened on pit road, but he definitely spent a little bit longer on there. He fell all the way down to 25th and now back on pit road. And that truck doesn't look like it's got any damage, at least on the right side. Maybe
Might
a
have been
penalty.
topping off fuel, it looked like, even
Possible,
right there.
yeah.
That was a very quick 4.95 second stop. So I think he just topped off fuel, and I'm thinking we're seeing some strategy possibly work its way into the mix here, just like we saw last night in the Cup Series race.
Yeah, 65 laps to go. Shouldn't be much of a problem, but there's going to be some guys that might be thinking about conserving a little bit, or maybe he's thinking about kind of shortening up a run here at the end of the race, get a little bit more speed. There's some ways around that you can kind of play that game with an extra lap or so when it's still going to be somewhat close. They all should make it on one more stop, but he's definitely got some strategy in mind with that.
Right now, the strategy working out for the 48 of Ryan Johnson, who's going to see that pace car duck down pit road in that Silverback Tax Solutions. Green flag is back waving here in Chicago. The field getting it going here for the second restart of the night.
I think every restart we've seen, there's just more and more space being given by these guys up front. I think they realized that was probably way too aggressive and putting way too much on the line there on this first of 3 races in the round of 10. But still very racy mid-pack. One up against the wall. I'm not sure if that was...
It's Cunningham.
Yeah, that is Connor Cunningham. Couldn't tell if that was the 63 or the 64. Did a great job keeping that thing pinned up against the wall, though, and staying out of trouble.
Yeah, so usually you try and keep yourself and sacrifice yourself up there in the wall, because otherwise we see what happened earlier with Purnell that kind of shoots you down once you get into that safer barrier. So good call there by Cunningham. He's going to try and get that truck fixed up here if he gets a caution here in a little bit, but settle in back there in 26. So back out in front, Andrew Harris is taking the lead away from Ryan Johnson, but Ryan Johnson, he doesn't like running second. He's going to go right back to the outside if he can get there of the 87.
And these have been the 2 drivers that have been the best this season on these 1.5-mile D-shaped ovals. It was Ryan Johnson finished 3rd and 1st at Vegas and Kansas, respectively. Andrew Harris 6th and 2nd, both with a ton of laps led. This no surprise, seeing these 2 drivers really fight it out up front here tonight.
I think that was kind of a mini slide job right there. Ryan Johnson was just able to really send it down in there to that inside lane where I just believe there is a lot of grip here at Chicago. We've seen it work last night with the Cup Series drivers. Some of the guys were making it work, making some great passes, and we just saw another one right there tonight with Ryan Johnson, who takes the lead back from Andrew Harris.
Andrew Harris not giving that thing up. He's about ready to put some paint on the tailgate there of that 48 truck, as he is still keeping real tight. Yeah, he kind of clipped the apron possibly there as well, saving that thing. Has still kept some good speed in it as he really ran it all the way up to the wall. He keeps it right there, and the draft just keeping him right up tight. They're trying to pull away from Brad Herman and Sean Jensick, but they're still carrying that tow a little bit as well from those 2 up front.
Yeah, so Brad Herman still well within the mix, who's just on a tear up towards the front, still up 14 positions after starting the night in 17th, but he's going to have a hard time getting by these 2 guys as you see a lot of smoke, someone blowing it up going down pit road. That's going to be James Kerr, so another JBR truck, unfortunately, having a bad night here tonight. They're going up against JW Racing in that team championship, so keep an eye on that. They are down to 3 drivers here this evening.
Yeah, that's a huge hit early on. Still got 60 laps to go in this race, and a big dive to the inside from Andrew Harris. Going to see if that inside line sticks here at this point in the run.
Oh, he's getting tight.
Run. Yeah, real tight. Oh, my goodness.
Johnson's getting in the wall. No, he keeps it off.
Wow, that was a not a lot of give, a whole lot of take from both of them, but they made it work. Unbelievable job there. And they still didn't lose a whole lot of time to Herman and Jensic behind them, so still keeping that run pretty tight. But that was a dicey moment for those two.
That was a very smart job there, 48, giving him a lot of room there. Otherwise, they probably would have made contact. And I just think Uncle Netco doesn't even have tickets to Chicagoland Speedway anymore because he was not here yesterday for the Cup Series race. And that was very tight quarters racing right there between the 87 and 48. Still nothing. So one thing, either the iRacing guys got it right or he's just on vacation here this week. But I'm loving it. It's promoting some fantastic racing here early on in this first round, or second round, excuse me.
It has been fantastic. Tuned in last night. Really love that race. And I'm just hoping Netco doesn't come back with a vengeance tomorrow night after the first couple nights here that we've seen so far. But been some fantastic racing. Really good racing out front right now with these top two. They're starting to pull away with how tight they are to each other and staying nose to tail as much as they have.
Ooh,
they're starting to get, oh, wow. Little bit of a bump draft there into turn one. Got into him a bit, loosened him up, but he did back it off and let him collect it.
Well, Harris just must feel that he's faster than this 48, but just unable to complete that pass. He's going to try and take a look and make a run here on the outside lane. He's got to make something work here as you see Ryan Johnson slide back up there on the exit of 4. These guys stay nose to tail here starting lap 40.
And that's the hard thing around this racetrack, especially when it's for the lead. That clean air goes a long, long way, and it's also one of those things where we talk about how many ways there is to get around this racetrack, but it also makes it very difficult to pass because there's no real slow line around this track. So you got to really get a good run and hope that that truck in front of you that's the leader makes a little bit of a mistake.
So here's Landon Cardulo to the inside of Blair Holloman here. This is for the 6th position, and you got Jonathan Byer just in front of him. But a great run behind them. Joseph DuPont there in P number 8. And then Michael Madden, who's made his way all the way up through the field here this evening, up to P9, up 14 positions. And his teammate there, Nathan Nixon, having a good run tonight as well, rounding out that top 10, up 17 positions. And the current butt kicker, hard charger of the race.
A real strong run for those two Rat Pack trucks for Madden and Nixon. We haven't mentioned Michael Madden up until this point, but he's worked his way up into that 9th position, which would be 7th among the playoff drivers. Another one we haven't mentioned much, but he's worked his way up to the 12th position, is Trevor Williams, who started 10th, kind of slid back to that middle, just kind of buying his time, but that 46 truck starting to make his way back up towards the front.
Yeah, he's to the outside of Bo Tiffany right now. He's trying to get up there in the top 10. This position for 11th, as you see Nathan Nixon and Michael Madden just in front of him. So we've almost got 8 of the round of 10 guys in the top 10 here tonight. Lane Doyle back there in P number 14. Bobby Anderson working his way back up through the field. He's battling Sean Kozier here for 21st position.
I'm still curious what happened there with Bobby. That was a lot of time lost, a lot of positions lost, and that truck looks clean.
It's got a little damage to the right front, but not, or the right rear.
Oh, yeah, I can see it there at this angle. Yeah, that angle. So he had some contact somewhere, and actually a little bit, yeah, there's something going on there. Maybe caught the wall a little bit. Didn't look like it. That paint scheme kind of camouflages it a little bit. But, yeah, so a little bit of damage there, and that might be explaining a whole lot.
So back out front, here's the 5th place battle with Jonathan Byer out in front of Blair Holloman. Landon Cardulo just behind that 06. And Joseph DuPont trying to keep pace with these guys, but these guys are not letting those lead pack cars get too far away. I feel like Jonathan Byer can get back up there. I mean, he was just 9,000ths of a second off that pole time. I think he can get up there and mix it up. And a hungry Blair Holloman, who is currently out of the playoffs here, he's going to be looking to make some noise as well.
Yeah, this group of three, I kind of like where they're sitting right now. They're not abusing the tires. They're not making a bunch of big runs at each other. They're just kind of sitting there about a second and a half or so behind that leader, still within the draft a little bit. I think if you're within about 3/4 of a second, you can pick up the draft pretty well around here. So they're doing a good job of balancing the tire wear if we do get a long green flag run, but while also staying close enough to really capitalize if those tires do play out where they got some more grip than everybody in front of them.
Battle here for second as Brad Herman has run down the 87 of Andrew Harris, and Brad Herman going to go on by the inside here, it looks like, try to make it work, but the 87 going to battle back hard and get a good run there on the exit of 4, and this is just bringing up the 29 of Sean Jensick into the mix too, and this is what I'm saying. I think Jonathan Byer is going to be able to get a little bit of that draft and pull up to these guys as well and really make it a party up here for second.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword right now on Herman and Harris, because I think Harris already has really burned up the tires trying to make his way up to the lead around Ryan Johnson and being unable to do so. Now you got this side-by-side racing where it's going to compound the tire wear for both these drivers for a little bit, and it's going to add some draftability for the trucks behind them, as we'll have Jensick, Byer, Holloman, Cardulo all be able to pull up a little bit tighter yet. So this is kind of one of those things where at this point in the run, you really don't want to be side by side this long.
Yeah, I think the 85 is going to clear him though here. He's going to slide right up in front of the 87, and they are going to settle it there, but not for too long as Harris gets a look to the outside, and Herman tries to close the door. I don't think Harris liked it too much there. You saw him give him a little tap into turn 3, but that's ultimately going to upset the handling there through 3 and 4, but it pays off for Harris, and he is able to fend off the 29 there. Was worried he might lose a spot there, getting mixed up with Herman.
Yeah, at the same time, that 29 of Sean Jensick, I love what he did during that whole battle. He could have really made that a lot more intense with those two trucks. He could have had a bit of a dive there, tried to follow somebody through, but he's really protecting the tires. He was very patient there, and he's continuing a really good run that, he got the lucky dog. One thing I was kind of looking at, in the regular season, his average finish 22.7. In the playoffs, 8.7. He is 14 spots better on average since the playoffs started, and a lot of it is because of patient moves like that.
Well, here you see Bo Tiffany going on by Nathan Nixon. Nathan Nixon kind of falling back a little bit after running in the top 10. He's going to be back in 12th now after that pass by the 4. And you got Jacob Zala coming up behind him as well as Lane Doyle now, who's still back there. MP number 14. So keeping track of these guys who are in the playoffs but a little bit further back in the field. Bobby Anderson still running back here in 21st. Jose Castellanos just about a half a second in front of him. So he's got some work to do in this 18 machine, because we are past the halfway mark here, running out of time with one pit stop to go before we're getting there to the end.
And this is a racetrack right now that's starting to see these trucks kind of start to spread out a little bit, not seeing a whole lot of side-by-side racing. In fact, they've really stretched out from the lead, 1.4 seconds. That's about 7/10 of a second since that side-by-side battle that we saw from Herman and Harris. So Ryan Johnson loving what he sees out of that back mirror, but there's a whole lot of single file racing right now. So for guys like Anderson, guys like Lane Doyle right now that are trying to make their way back up through the field, this is not what they want to be seeing.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson, who is one of the best at getting on and off pit road, is going to have his work cut out with a few of these guys running up here. Brad Herman, Sean Jensick, Harris, Byer, all veterans here in SRN that have done this plenty of times. They're going to know how to get it done and maybe make up some time there on pit road, because I think we're going to start seeing pit stops ramp up here within maybe the next 10 laps. We're going to see some guys try that undertake.
Yeah, for sure, and we're seeing a significant drop-off on these lap times. It's going to wind up being close to 2 seconds a lap slower from when they had fresh tires to when these tires get really worn out near the end of a run. So that undercut going to be a big factor for sure, especially for some of these guys that need to take a home run cut. A guy like a Lane Doyle or a Bobby Anderson, that might be the idea that they go with. I think at that time, too, they're hoping that a caution comes out late in the race to kind of protect them on the back end, because they are going to lose a lot of time later on in this race compared to the guys that stay out a little bit longer.
This battle right here for fourth. Andrew Harris falling a little bit through the field now as he's got two very hungry JBR trucks battling to his inside as Jonathan Byer takes a look down there on the apron. And here comes a hard charge, and Blair Holloman, too, up into the mix. He wants to kind of spoil the day now as a non-playoff driver out here. That's kind of the fun part of having that red number next to your name. You want to go out there and say, hey, I should be here mixing it up, so I'm just going to go ahead and take the trophy home from tonight's race. So he's going on by Landon Cardullo there. That's for 6, and now he's going to see if he can get a run to the outside of the 66. Hard to tell who's battling who right here with all the comers and goers.
Man, this is fantastic racing, 2x2 down the front straightaway. Really been that way for a lap and a half now. And you mentioned Blair Holloman. He's out of the playoffs. He's still in the team playoff as Zuyo's sitting there in that race as well with Dark Tank Racing right now in that 2-3 matchup here in the second round. So Holloman doing everything he can to help out his team.
And Dark Tank Racing not having a great night so far, so Zuyo's going to be paying off if he can stay up there in the top 10. But, man, getting really tight racing now. Michael Manna trying to get up there in the mix, too, back there in P number 8. So Byer going to get on by Andrew Harris, and that's going to take Landon Cardullo by as well. Blair Holloman now going to go to the inside of the 87. Andrew Harris has to stop the bleeding here.
And it's a tough spot. I mean, you see a couple of early cautions, and you start thinking, all right, maybe this is going to be that kind of a race. Be aggressive, get out in front, and that's kind of biting Andrew Harris a little bit right now because I think he really wore out those tires. But we're seeing Byer, Cardullo, Madden, guys that have really saved those tires throughout this run, really starting to make their way up towards the front.
Yeah, Madden going on by now. That's going to put Madden up to 6, move Andrew Harris back to P number 7. So just to give you some context, they now have 30 laps on this set of tires, so they're going to be needing to get those next pair of clean and fast tires out there. And I know these guys are starting to really want to come down pit road, but you got to wait a little bit. Still 37 laps to go in this one. You got to get to probably around maybe 30 to 25 before you can realistically consider coming down and maybe attempting an undercut. And I mean, you just got to save yourself enough time to get away, and then maybe they stay out there a little longer.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we're in the window now where these drivers can make it the rest of the way if it stays green. The big thing now is going to be when do you commit to it? When do you, as you pointed out, you have enough time to utilize it if you do stay out a little bit later and get the fresh tires late. A big run here from the 46 Trevor Williams to the outside of Andrew Harris as Trevor Williams working his way up to possibly the 8th position. But to finish the point, I mean, that window open now. We could see some guys undercut. But that 2-second fall off that we're seeing, that's going to hit them at a very critical point in the race. Some of these guys might still be a half second or so faster by just staying out a little bit longer.
So move Trevor Williams up to P number 8. Put Andrew Harris now back into 9th. So, man, that is just a really tough feeling when you're trying to be in that final 5 at Homestead and you're seeing each and every one of these guys go on by you now, staring down the very real possibility of falling outside the top 10. You got Joseph DuPont just behind him, as well as a hard-charging Bo Tiffany up 8 positions from where he began the night here this evening. He's looking to move up into the top 10 as well. So really tight battle now as DuPont right on the bumper of that 87.
And as we're talking about the pit strategy, first comer is going to be Nathan Nixon, who was just outside the top 10, but he made his way down pit road on this time by. So he's going to be starting it off, see if anybody kind of bites at this point. And you might start seeing a couple of these guys like a Lane Doyle or a Bobby Anderson that need to pick up some spots. This might be that opportunity for them to try it. Oh, Joseph DuPont into the wall.
Yeah, DuPont hard into the wall there, and that's what we're saying. It can get out and sneak up on you, and that is some big-time damage for the one there. So he's going to fall back as we have the leaders coming down pit road, it looks like.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson down pit road. Brad Herman down pit road. Got a whole bunch of them. Andrew Harris, Lane Doyle, Trevor Williams all coming down pit road.
Herman's got some damage, it looks like, to the front of his truck. Going to try and take a closer look at it. And for some reason, it looked like to me that front end is really banged up on that 85.
Man, he got into somebody. I'm wondering if that was on the entry to pit road, actually. I'll see if I can take a look at that on the second screen I got here.
Yeah, I could try to pull it up as well as we go back out in front where Sean Jensick is leading the way. Let's take a look at it. I'm taking a look here.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and rewind
A little bit farther. Yeah, a little farther back. We'll see it.
Oh, yeah, that's where the cone came from here. He's just going to really overshoot it and just spin out and hit that wall hard. I was wondering where that front end damage came from. He was one of our front runners here tonight.
Yeah, and man, he is incredibly, not lucky because of the damage there and spinning it there. Incredibly lucky that
Byer's doing the same thing!
And this is one of the sneakiest pit roads in all of the season that we'll have because of how quickly it comes up. But Byer losing it now a lap after Herman lost it on the pit road.
Wow. So 2 playoff drivers losing a lot of time here after making their way up through the field. I mean, these guys were making passes out here. Herman was the hard charger of the race, and both of them losing a lot of time now as Bo Tiffany, our leader, going to come down pit road as well as you see that truck just wanting to step out on him here as he makes it cleanly down for his final stop of the night. Kyle Lingerfeld going to come along with him. That's going to cycle out the leader back to Ryan Johnson, it looks like, as Bobby Anderson is going to be the last guy to bring it down.
It's such a weird pit road here because you're going at this point about 155, 160 miles an hour through the turn, and it feels like that turn just goes forever, and you got all the time in the world. There's not really many indicators that you can use. It's like little triggers, little signs out there on the outside that some people like to use if it's like billboards or wall markers or anything like that. And so you're just kind of sitting there trying to go off memory. When do I brake here? And it approaches so fast, and by the time you do it, if you overshoot it by a little bit, that pit road is a sharp left turn here at Chicago, and it just makes it incredibly difficult, and we've seen 2 front runners have big time trouble there with that entry.
Look at this gap. This is insane after we saw how tightly contested. I mean, these guys were less than 2 seconds away from Ryan Johnson, and they come out with a 5.3 second lead in that 48 camp. It's smooth sailing right now for the 48.
Yeah, and part of that, I think Jensick was stuck behind Byer, near Byer, when he spun it, so there's probably a little bit of losing some time there. Herman obviously had his issue. Byer obviously had his issue, and he's still, I believe he's a lap down now. So we're seeing a lot of those guys really fall off, and now we got Trevor Williams sitting there. He's jumped all the way up from 8th to 3rd after that round of pit stops.
Yeah, it's funny how it works out sometimes, and I mean, these guys practice a lot on pit road, which I've said from day one. I mean, you can make up so much time if you really put in the effort to practice those green flag entries. I mean, this season has been relatively green compared to other seasons, so we've had a lot of opportunities to practice these at each track, and you know you got to put that in your arsenal here, and JW certainly practices that. As Lane Doyle, I mean, he was running 14th before that round of pit stops. He's up to 8th and battling these guys for 6th.
It's one of those things that, and I feel like you've probably done similar. Oh, big run there from Lane Doyle to the outside of Sean Jensick trying to get it, and maybe just trying to get away from the tailgate there of that 29 truck. But it's one of those things that you probably thought the same thing as a driver, but when you're in the practice sessions an hour and a half, and you just see people continuously just pull it off to the back straightaway, get down to the apron, and just kind of exit and get that quick tow back to pit road, and you don't really see them practicing those green flag stops. I know for me, I'm always just like, shame on you, I know what's going to happen. And it's one of those things, like, you got to practice those green flag pit stops, and you got to practice it after a long run as well. You can do it all day on fresh tires, completely different at the end of a run.
So great battle here for 6th, 7th, and 8th, and another great battle. I mean, just in front of them, you got Trevor Williams here up in 3rd place. He's battling here with Brad Herman just in front of him, and Andrew Harris just behind him. Landon Cardullo there in 5th, and then that's a lap down truck there of the Jason Cracky 54 machine. So 2nd through 5th battling very tightly here. Ryan Johnson wants no parts of this.
He does not, and he's still going well away, about 7 seconds clear now. But for Brad Herman, man, I'm surprised that truck is still moving as well as it is. Obviously getting passed by that train of 3, but still sitting there in that 5th position, even with all that front end damage. And I got to be thinking that engine is going to be in a pretty precarious position as Andrew Harris with a big run there on the inside, and he's going to wind up in the 2nd position. He's got those fresh tires. He found that speed again.
Yeah, he gets a good run off a turn 4, clears the 46, brings the 13 of Landon Cardulo with him. So in the matter of the front straightaway there, Trevor Williams goes from 2nd to 4th just like that. So he's going to tuck in behind these guys and figure out a spot where he could possibly make another pass. So let's go ahead and check in. Jonathan Byer back here after that slip up on pit road. He's going to be mired back in 24th after that round of pit stops. And I mean, he's got a 2.5 to Connor Cunningham in front of him in 23rd, and then another 4.5 seconds to Rob Yost there in 22nd. So going to be really tough for this 66 to even make up any ground, and that's not how you want to start off this round of playoffs.
Well, scary thing for him is, and you might see him here in the background as his camera kind of turns, he's got the race leader not too far away from him as well. So he's in a pretty tough spot. Now, he would be the lucky dog if he does get lapped. We're only looking at about 10 truck lengths. The gap here between Byer and Ryan Johnson is now we're on the roof of Ryan Johnson looking at that 66 truck. And that's kind of one of those things. You're almost tempted to say, hey, I want to put this guy a lap down. I want to get up there and maybe trap him a lap down. But you also got to be thinking, all right, I got a 7-second lead. I don't need to risk it too much and try to burn out those tires, really trying to do that.
Well, Byer with 2 lap fresher tires might be able to fend off here Ryan Johnson, who is kind of trying to close that ground between him and the 66 to put him a lap down. But yeah, I mean, tough break here for the 66 to start off here. He's going to have to put in a lot of time setting up for Nashville, which, I mean, this is a very tough round of 10. Nashville, not an easy track, so definitely tune in next week. It's going to be some really good racing once we get out there.
Yeah, and it's really easy to look at that schedule and say, all right, we got a 1.5-mile D-shaped oval, 1.33 D-shaped oval, and a 1.5-mile D-shaped oval. It's all the same thing. But Chicago, completely different track, very wide. It has a lot of raceability on it. You got that bowed back straightaway. You got the apron that you can run down on as well. Nashville, it's concrete, completely different from what we're seeing here. Kentucky is a lot like Texas, where one side is completely different than the other side and how you wind up running it. So all 3 of these tracks, they look the same on paper, but on the actual racing surface, wildly different tracks.
Yeah, Nashville, it just feels smaller there too, being a 1.3-mile oval. It just feels like a mini 1.5-mile oval kind of with how narrow it can be. So you're exactly right. It's going to be a completely different feel when they get out there to Nashville next week. One of my favorite additions to the NASCAR circuit so far. Looking forward to getting out there. So let's go ahead further on back in the pack to check in on Sean Jensick, who's running right here behind his teammate Michael Madden. So this is 5th and 6th. So both these drivers having a great run here tonight. Brad Herman falling back a little bit as Blair Holloman goes on by him. So Brad Herman now back to 8th after that big hit on pit road. It's starting to catch up to him here.
Man, and we're just seeing a lot of things just kind of start biting the 85. And last season when he won this truck championship, it was one of those deals where we knew that he was good in the regular season, and then he kind of kicked it up to a whole other level in the playoffs. And this time around, it's kind of going backwards on him, and some of it on him, obviously this miscue on pit road, but some of it just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the first half of the season, he was about 6 positions better on average finish than he is in the last 8 races. So he's kind of cooling off at the wrong time here, and that incident there on pit road not going to do any favors.
Yeah, currently where he's running, he's going to be in that bottom 5. That is not going to progress into Homestead. So with 2 races, it can really start ramping up the anxiety for a driver. This round really gets to you. I can speak on my own behalf after last season. It's a very stressful round, and I know it is a game, but I mean, we're all race car drivers in our minds, and we want to move on, so it gets very tense as these races start ticking off, and you're missing out on opportunities to make up points. It can start to wear on you, so we'll see who has that mental fortitude to make it on, and we know Brad Herman has it after winning the championship in Season 2. So it looks like Michael Madden now making a move to the inside of Trevor Williams. He's going to take the 4th place position away from the 46.
Whew, that was an aggressive leap up there to the outside, and they kind of dove it back down inside, trying to stop that crossover move that might have happened from Trevor Williams. But Williams kind of just sitting there saying, I'll take fifth right now and just kind of let this play out. I think he's doing a pretty good job possibly of saving some tires to maybe pick up a little bit of speed on the back end of this thing if it stays green, seeing how aggressive some of the guys like Madden and Harris have been in making some of these passes.
Yeah, 15 laps to go. You can tell the action ramping up for the 15 truck here. He's still trying to battle Harris here side by side, and these two go way back. I mean, these guys seem to always be around each other in Season 1, and Harris not having the Season 2 he wanted to have, but right back here in Season 3, right picking up where he left off in Season 1, battling Michael Madden side by side. These guys are starting to run down our leader a little bit. Landon Cardullo putting in some good lap times here in second position. But I don't think he has the time to catch him.
No, I think that last lap, I was watching that ticker kind of drop about a second for Ryan Johnson on that lead interval. I think he got caught in a little bit of lap traffic on that last time by, trying to work his way through the field, and actually saw him up on driver chat talking to a couple of the drivers, just like, hey, well, let me work my way through here. And very polite driver chat here tonight so far. But, yeah, I mean, that 13 truck's starting to reel him in. Now, we always talk about it. If you're the leader going around these slower traffic and putting trucks laps down, it's a whole lot harder than if you're that second car that's going to be putting somebody a lap down. So there's going to be some time that can be gained here for Cardullo. This thing not quite over just yet.
Well, some really tight racing there as these guys are putting the 98 of Nathan Nixon a lap down here as they go 3 wide there on the exit of 4. But give Madden the third position from Harris now as they are 3 wide between Jensic and I believe that's Williams back there, and Andrew Harris. They settle it out and go back to 2 wide, but it is heating up here in this top 5. Blair Hallman getting up in the mix as well.
Yeah, Holloman doing a good job of just being patient here on this run, and it's one of those weird ones that you're looking at about 28 laps to go when these guys made these pit stops, and you almost feel like I got to go now, but there is some redemption there if you kind of take it easy on the first handful of laps, really kind of save some of the speed here late, and you're going to pick up about maybe a quarter of a second or so every time just by saving that little bit. So I think Holloman's done a good job of that thus far, and he's in position where he can really work his way up possibly to a top 3 finish here.
Lane Doyle, Bo Tiffany side by side down the backstretch. This position for P number 8 here. So Lane Doyle trying to get by Bo, who was in 8th position. Bo not wanting to give it up here. Both these guys battling for separate championships here. Lane Doyle trying to make his way back up through the field after losing a lot of time early on in the race, but Bo steadily climbing up 10 positions from where he began tonight.
A good run for Bo Tiffany, and a tip of the cap to Lane Doyle. I mean, he had that heavy damage there early on that right side of the truck, was super patient, took it down pit road on that caution, got it fixed, and didn't seem to panic, just kind of picked up spots as they've come, and he's worked his way all the way back up to 8th position and still very well in striking distance of being very close to that cut line at the end of this race.
9 to go. We're going to keep our eye on this battle back here to round out the last position in the top 5. Trevor Williams has it. Blair Holloman wants it, and Sean Jensic in the mix too. So move the 06 up to 6th place, and he's going to try and make a move to the inside, it looks like, here of the 46, maybe set him up on the exit of 4, but they're going to go ahead and settle it down for the time being. Let's see if Trevor Williams can claim another top 5 here tonight. So let's go back out front where Ryan Johnson still trying to put these guys a lap down. That lead down to 5.3 seconds, but 8 laps to go. It's not going away quick enough for the 13.
No, and I think, he might, Jonathan Byer being right there, obviously they're teammates, but he's still a playoff driver as well, so I don't think there's going to be anything maybe trying to slow him up there just because of that scenario. But once you get past Byer, if he does get past him, still got a pretty good gap up until those next lap trucks. So this is a pretty good position for Ryan Johnson to be in right now with that 5-second lead. Don't think he's going to be dropping a whole lot more time to lap traffic.
So, yeah, still kind of shrinking as the laps go on. But, like I said, the laps are going on. Looks like we got a pass back here. Mueller going on by Jose Castellanos. So Jose now back into 17th, and Josh Mueller up into P at number 16 here. Further up, got Lane Doyle still trying to hold off the 4 of Bo Tiffany for 8th, as the 4 takes a good look to the inside, gets a good run down the front stretch, a drag race into 1. I believe the 47 still going to have the desired real estate here. That highline looking fast, and as we keep going up through the field, that 4th place battle with Andrew Harris, Trevor Williams, Blair Holloman getting even tighter.
Man, they are just bunching up more and more and more, and I think the fastest truck out there right now might be that 13 of Landon Cardullo, but I don't think Blair Holloman's too far behind right now. He looks very comfortable. Still got that bit of a draft as well, just kind of trying to figure out the way around the 46 and the 87, but he looks very racy right now.
Yeah, so with 5 laps to go, it's do or die time for a few of these guys. These guys not battling for a podium position per se, but each and every point is going to matter so much when it comes down to determining who we're going to take to Homestead as our final 5 drivers. So Harris and Williams battling it out here. Sean Jensick starting to fall off the pace a little bit from these guys, and still side by side is going to be the 47 and 4 as they sail into turn number 1. Lane Doyle still running that high lane.
Yeah, that high line, I think as the tires wear on these trucks especially, just because of the momentum, it does wind up being the primary line. But this inside line, just because of the shape of this racetrack and the grip that's down there, I mean, you can see the color difference on the inside just that little bit. I think the surface a little bit rougher as well. You can really get that truck turned around on that inside line. But momentum-based racing like this with these trucks, that outside line typically going to have a whole lot more power to it.
So with 3 laps to go, we'll head back out in front with Ryan Johnson still out to a 4.6 second lead. He's gotten by Jonathan Byer, so Byer going to be the first car a lap down there in 21st position. 20 trucks here on the lead lap. The last one going to be Sean Kozier in that 97, just in front of the 48. So 2 laps to go for Ryan Johnson before he claims his 7th win on the season, and stinking it up here a bit lately, claiming 3 of the first 4 playoff races here in Season 3.
I mean, we're talking about a rookie that at the end of Season 1 might very well be in the top 5 all-time in wins here in SRN. Just an unbelievable job from Ryan Johnson. He's got the white flag. Next flag ends it, and he is just continuing a dominant path through this truck series here in the playoffs.
Yeah, he gets on by the 97, but Sean Kozier not going to just let him have it here as they go side by side. 48's got to be real careful here. He lets the 97 kind of go on, but he's got the 66 behind him, but that doesn't matter. He comes off turn 4, sees that checkered flag waving, and Ryan Johnson wins again here in the SRN Truck Series.
First, second, and first in the first 4 playoff races for Ryan Johnson. Just unbelievable. It was only his teammate Trevor Williams who needed that win last week. It's been able to beat him thus far, but just an unbelievable run. Oh, heavy run there across the line. Not sure where that was about. I believe that was Josh Mueller possibly coming through there, but there was some heavy contact there as they were racing to the line, but that was all about 20 seconds behind our race winner, Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, so had to get back out to Ryan Johnson for the TJ's team. A winning moment where he pulls off his trademark. I still don't know what we're calling this. The reverse Polish victory lap? I don't understand. I'm trying to figure it out, Brandon. What should we call this thing?
Well, put me on the spot on that one.
I like that. I like doing that.
First thing that came to mind was like a back lap instead of a back flip, but that one kind of sucks. So
we're going with back lap now. You said it, and it's going to stick. So Ryan Johnson pulling off the back lap here as he gets his 7th win of the night or the season here, only in week number 17. So, 3 races to go now. Kind of crazy to think this season is wrapping up here in just a few weeks. He doesn't have the gap that he had last round, but starting to build it here. He's going to be our main competitor here in the round of 10, setting himself up for success here early on. So Ryan Johnson going to pull it back around and maybe pull off some donuts here for the 7th time this year.
And hey, I mean, we talk about that 3 wins in a second in the first 4 races, and yes, he wins this one, but on that level playing field, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 8th, all playoff drivers. So even with this win, even with picking up bonus points for the most laps led and things like that, this is still a close race, and he is far from safe with 2 races to go.
Yeah, so a lot of them finishing in the top 10. Like you said, 7 of the top 10 in the top 10 here with Brad Herman, Bobby Anderson, and Jonathan Byer, the only drivers not finishing in the top 10 here tonight. So there you see a nice, healthy burnout down the front stretch for the TJ's Team Foundation. Winning moment. Go ahead and check them out at morethan-a-cape.org. Can't thank them enough for coming on board here this season. They can use every bit of help you can possibly provide. So let's go ahead, head back up to the blimp, check out the whole results here tonight for round 2, race 1 action here at Chicagoland Speedway. Ryan Johnson, the winner again here tonight in that 48 out of JW Racing. Landon Cardullo comes home P number 2. Michael Madden going to round out the podium positions, and Andrew Harris and Trevor Williams round out the top 5.
Top non-playoff driver is going to be Blair Holloman in the 06, finishing in position number 6. Back to playoff drivers with Sean Jensick and Lane Doyle in 7th and 8th. Bo Tiffany will be in the 9th position. Joseph DuPont, we saw him catch the wall pretty hard, but still able to hang on to that 10th position. And might have lost Greg there. I'll pick up here the rest of this 11th position.
There we go.
There you go.
My mic has been acting up this week, man, I tell you. So 11th going to be Jacob Zala, AJ Pritchett there in 12th, Kyle Lingerfeld in 13th, Brad Herman there in 14th out of Zuyos Racing, and Bobby Anderson comes home in 15th.
And 16th place, Josh Mueller. 17th will go to Jose Castellanos. 18th to Derek De Silva. I mentioned earlier, it said Walt Lipicki in the 64. Usually is, but it's Tank's substitute driver here in all these trucks. It was De Silva tonight, so stand corrected on that. Dean Gagliano in 19th, last truck on the lead lap. Jonathan Byer, first truck, 1 lap down, and last of the playoff drivers in position number 20.
So let's track down Michael Madden, who's sitting here in the broadcast waiting room. We'll bring him up to the broadcast booth. Michael, it's Brandon Domain and Greg Olenek up here in the SRN broadcast booth. Congratulations on a great run. Picked up 20 positions up to 3rd here this evening and set yourself up starting off hot in the round of 10. Tell us about your race here tonight.
Thank you, boys. Yeah, it wasn't how we drew it up. The qualifying effort left me pretty shocked. And I knew I had my work cut out for me. It's just, just reverting back to season 1. We needed to stack a penny tonight, top 5 finish, and we did just that. And that's how you get to the championship round. It's not about winning. It's about just top 5s and moving on.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that tonight, 7 of the top 8 drivers, all playoff drivers, and there was a lot of hard racing there for quite a bit there in that group of about 5 of y'all, about a third of the way left in that race. What was going through your mind with how tight that racing looked at times? After we saw a super aggressive start, the race kind of spread out, and then everybody seemed to get bunched back up there amongst y'all playoff drivers.
Yeah, it was just about minding your P's and Q's, keeping your stuff clean, because if you got damaged, you were done. So I just kind of let them fight it out, kind of tried to stay out of trouble. The one raced me pretty hard, and 87, but that's expected. We're racing for money here. So, but yeah, just save my tires, and I knew eventually my truck would get hold. I found something at the end. I kind of, that last run, my truck was pretty hooked up, so I was able to clear the 87 and just keep it going. That 48 man, he was on rails tonight. But we have a good qualifying effort here. You're rewarded with that clean air, and we just did not find it.
Well, before we let you go here tonight and get started on practicing for Nashville, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Absolutely. Always want to thank the MM15 crew for showing up every week. Urable, Sparkle and Shine, Sean, all those guys helping me. And we're just going to get ready for Nashville here.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on a good run here tonight. Best of luck next week, and we'll see if we talk to you again here after the race in Nashville. So have a good one, man, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, boys.
All right, that was Michael Madden who comes home and P number 3 here tonight. Let's go ahead and track down Landon Cardulo and bring him on up here. Landon, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain up here in the SRN broadcast booth, bringing home with a good run here tonight, up 9 from where you started. Come home in second to start off this round of 10. How does that help your confidence here as we head into Nashville?
Yeah, I'm finally back in an interview spot. It's been a while. Good race. Kind of went into this race with a different kind of mindset. Just played easy. You know, if somebody's trying to pass, if somebody's faster than me, I'll let them by, let them eat up their stuff, because tires was a huge thing here. Really good run. I mean, we needed this. I mean, last week I finished 11th. The week before that I finished 11th. And then the week before that I finished in the top 5. So definitely 11th is not my favorite number right now, but it's nice to come back for a P2 finish.
Well, you bring up that number, and that was actually about what I was going to be asking in a way, because, I mean, we saw the wins last year, and this year haven't found victory lane just yet. But I think, you know, you've probably been the second or third when it comes to most consistent drivers out there. We've only seen you outside of the top 11, I believe, twice this season. So what's going on this year? That just, is it a mentality change, or is it just kind of figuring things out with who's out there on the racetrack? But your consistency has just been out of this world this season with being inside that top 11 almost every single race this year.
Yeah, I mean, our goal is to win races, obviously. That's everybody's goal. But coming into this year, a little different. You got a few new teammates, so we're working on that. But I think we're kind of just getting rid of the aggressiveness. You know, we don't want to be aggressive. And, of course, we want to be in the front, but saving your stuff and, not making enemies is one of the positive things. Of course, I've gotten a little I shouldn't kicking myself for that because I've had a few enemies, but we want to win. I want to win. I feel like I've gone way too long without a win, so it's eating me inside, but I'd rather take a solid finish than a wrecked race car.
Well, solid finish is what you got here tonight. Coming home NP at number 2. Not too shabby as you head off into Nashville. So before we let you go, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming out and watching tonight, just like every other week. I want to thank my family for watching. Glitch, I want to thank Z Grills, Bolify. They're the main sponsors that's been with us. Repping a cool little paint scheme this week for Tropic Thunder. Go check that out. Oh. Definitely better than Rogue. There's an argument. But, yeah, just I want to thank you guys for the broadcast. Great as always. And then also want to thank my team. Can't do it without them. So appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, best of luck next week when you get out to Nashville. And have a good night. Celebrate, man. We'll talk to you later.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, that was Landon Cardulo, who comes home Pete number 2 tonight to this man, Ryan Johnson. Ryan, congratulations once again. Go ahead, take your normal seat that you're used to sitting to here in the broadcast booth. We got your own chair pretty much. But, hey, congratulations, 7th win of the season. What happened there on that last pit stop that really gave you a dominant lead there? We saw a few guys have trouble on pit road, but, man, you separated yourself from the entire pack there. That really just let you pull away from Landon.
Chair feels just as comfy as last time. Yeah, coming down for the pit. Oh my God, I was honestly pretty on edge doing that because I felt like I was all over the place. It might not have looked like it, but in car, the wheel was going left, right. It was pretty loose coming down pit road, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. But hopefully we, gained a little time doing that if some other people came in conservative. I didn't want to go that aggressive, but it worked out, so we'll remember that. But no, I don't know. I think it was just clean air tonight. Tire wear, it seemed like no matter what you did after 15 laps or so, they were going to wear out either way. So I wanted to get to the front and stay out front as much as I could. It was a lot of fun battling there with Andrew for a while. But yeah, we got another one that's exactly what we wanted to do.
And I mean, you were sitting here at these mile-and-a-half D-shaped ovals. You had a third at Vegas, wins at Kansas, now at Chicago. We got two more, well, one kind of a mile and a half, about a mile and a third with Nashville, but Nashville and Kentucky coming up. But with them being still pretty vastly different from these first three mile-and-a-half oval D-shaped ovals like we've seen, is there anything that really translates to there, or is it going to be kind of one of those things where it's kind of starting from fresh and really having to build back in terms of how you're going to be handling those tracks compared to these first three that we saw?
Every track is unique for the most part, even on iRacing. I mean, I kind of compare Chicago to Charlotte and Kansas, but even still, there's a different line. There's different little quirks. There's different bumps in each track. Preparation is pretty much not really going to change. It's just going to be, practicing like we always do, putting in, as much as we can and trying to learn as much as we can. I know Kentucky for sure I'm a little nervous about because I don't even know if I've raced there on iRacing yet. But it's what practice is for. We get after it, and I think the results show.
Well, they certainly are showing, man. You got to make some room for these stickers on your name rail there as they're starting to pile up here. But before we let you go and start practicing for Nashville and Kentucky, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, of course. Everybody at SRN that makes it happen. All the admins, you guys are broadcasting, all the sponsors we got. My team, JW Racing, owner Justin, Rogue Energy. Remember to use code JW Racing for a discount. Maxon Industries Incorporated, Merritt Mechanical, Rufus Sport MMA, Saloon Door Sports, all my family, friends, everybody tuning in, and all the drivers that make this a fun league to race in.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate the kind words and congratulations once again on a very impressive season to this point. You got 3 more weeks to cap it off, so get to work, man. We'll see you next week out in Nashville.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
All right, so that was our winner here, Ryan Johnson, as you see him pull off his trademark back lap. That's what we're going with, Brandon.
I'm going to try to forget that one because I don't love that idea, but first one at mind. But no, I mean, this has just been absolutely incredible what we're seeing. I mean, at the start of the season, the most wins in SRN was 9. Ryan Johnson's got 7 in one season, so just an unbelievable run that he's having right now, and it's hard to imagine that anybody can catch him, but at the same time, because of that reset, because of this playoff format, everybody's still right in the mix of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can get hot here in this round, so I have to imagine we're going to see a lot of people turning a lot of laps here this week as Ryan Johnson continues to be the class of the field here, winning again here in week 17. So please come on back once again. We got one more race for you here this week with tomorrow night. We're going to have the Xfinity Series drivers. Brandon, you're going to be out there. You've had some practice laps here. A little bit different feel as it is for the Xfinity cars. Lower downforce. This is a sketchy track for you guys tomorrow night.
It absolutely is, and the condition and the way it handles kind of just flips on you pretty quickly after maybe 10-15 laps, somewhere around there, once those tires really start breaking in. So it's going to make it a really interesting race. Hopefully we get some good action out there, hopefully some good clean action, and we can see how these long runs play out, because I think that's going to really be a deciding factor tomorrow.
Absolutely. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that little bell so you know exactly when we go live tomorrow night, 9:20 p.m. Eastern Time, right back here on Speed Racing Network. But that's going to wrap it up for us here tonight in the Truck Series. It's on to Nashville for these guys, and they're going to kick it off in their second race in this round of 10. So that's going to do it for myself, for Brandon Domain, all the admins here behind the scenes, and each and every one of the drivers. We sincerely thank you all for stopping by. As I said, please hit that like button, and always remember to go faster.